Hello, my name is Sam Berkley. I'm from Governor French Academy in Belleville, Illinois. My presentation today will be discussing a new encryption mechanism called hash chaining and how it can be used to generate secure ethereal cryptographic keys. Given the increasing number and severity of recent cyber attacks, such as the Equifax or Yahoo breaches, it is more important than ever to safely and securely encrypt private data. People's personal information is put at risk most often due to advances in technology, which is typically caused by frail security protocols or predictable encryption methods. If important information is badly encrypted, then it's easy for an attacker to create a security breach and access the data inside. As such, more secure cryptographic methods must be developed that deter cybercriminals from attacking and stealing sensitive information. One such potential solution is hash chaining. Before we go into more depth about hash chaining, we have to understand a few things first, such as what ethereal keys are, the differences between static and dynamic keys, and the potential limitations of ethereal keys. So what is an ethereal key? In short, an ethereal key is a cryptographic key that is generated and assigned to brief intervals of time. A cryptographic key is more or less a lengthy password that, when used with a message you wish to encrypt, changes the message from plain text, which is readable data, to ciphertext, which is encrypted and unreadable data. In addition, ethereal keys are not currently standardized. However, there are a few concepts that all ethereal keys share, such as being time-sensitive. An ethereal key is similar to a rotating bank code. Most banks use electronic systems to open and close vaults. To make sure that the door to a vault does not open without proper authentication, banks use a rotating code. At any point in time, the vault door will accept a given security code. Over time, the security code will change or rotate into another code. When the code rotates, the vault door will only accept the most current code. What are static keys and what are dynamic keys? Static keys are cryptographic keys that never change. Because the key value never changes, given enough time, any hacker determined enough or with enough time on their hands can break a static key. Dynamic keys, on the other hand, suffer no such weaknesses. Dynamic keys are cryptographic keys that change over time. The goal of a dynamic key is so that by the time a previous key is broken, a new key has been made. One such example of a dynamic key is an ethereal key. Because dynamic keys are so difficult and complex to create, cybersecurity specialists prefer to use static cryptographic keys, which is much easier to work with. You may be asking yourself, if dynamic keys are so secure and useful, why don't we use ethereal keys? That's a good question. There are two main roadblocks to the standardization of ethereal key usage: the key mechanism and maintaining forward secrecy. Creating a system for generating ethereal keys is not easy and potentially inefficient for modern CPUs. Two such mechanisms currently under evaluation are trusted timestamps, which is a token that links a specific cryptographic key to a given interval of time, and one-time function parameters, which creates intermediate sessions under secure communication to share a series of secret parameters to create secure keys. However, these two methods come with their own weaknesses. Forward secrecy is a concept that any iterative linear keys cannot be derived from previous keys. In most successful methods of creating a dynamic keys, new keys are created from previous dynamic keys, which could be a potential weakness. For a security mechanism to maintain forward secrecy, hackers must not be able to reverse engineer the values for previous dynamic keys to predict any future keys, which is not an easy problem to solve. Now, with ethereal keys out of the way, we must still discuss salted hashing, the unique properties of hashes, and how we can use those hashes for encrypting. Understanding salted hashing is critical to understanding how hash chaining works. It's even in the name, hash chaining. Hashing is a type of algorithm that takes a variable length input and converts it into a fixed length output. Salted hashes are simply a more secure kind of hash. A salted hash is a hash that contains additional input values beyond the primary one. This makes hashes harder to break because the entire algorithm, along with the specific input used, must be known to replicate any output. Hashes are very special algorithms that possess a few unique properties. Number one, hashes are irreversible. The output of the hash does not allow a hacker to discover the function or the data being input. This makes the input impossible to recover. Number 2, hashes are irreplicable. The output of a hash function is exclusive to that function, and there are no collisions. And since the output of a hash cannot be determined without knowledge of the input and the function itself, outputs cannot be replicated. With these properties in mind, how can we use hashes for encryption? We can use hashing for encryption in a multitude of ways. However, the most pertinent ways for today's discussion is secure password generation and synchronized derivation. Inputting secret values into a hash function creates a secure, uncrackable output. By using these outputs as cryptographic keys, we can securely encrypt private data. Now, let us picture a scenario where two communicating entities share the same input values to a hash function. If they both input the same values, they will both return the same outputs. By chaining the hashes together, you can synchronize key generation. This is similar to radio-controlled torpedoes, where the submarines in World War II, for the British, would switch frequencies with their remote torpedoes to avoid signal jamming from the Germans. My final design, which I coined hash chaining, has 3 phases: the first contact phase, the key configuration phase, and the future contact phase. In the first contact phase, the two communicating entities perform a Diffie-Hellman key exchange. A Diffie-Hellman key exchange is a technique that takes advantage of the properties of large prime numbers and modular arithmetic to generate secret session keys to establish secure communication. This is a known mathematical algorithm that establishes secure communication. For the future contact phase, any algorithms used to generate secure communication should be fine. In the key configuration phase, the two communicating entities agree upon 2 parameter values using the secure communication channel generated by the Diffie-Hellman key exchange: the principal string and the principal number. The principal number is 256 bits of randomly generated fill data. The principal number contains no session data and is simply used as a salt for hashing the principal string for the creation of the key value. The principal string, on the other hand, is 256 bits that contain information regarding the session details. The principal string consists of a 16-bit header, an 8-bit key ID, which increments every new key iteration and thus tracks the number of keys made, an 8-bit max number, which counts how many keys will be made before reconnection, and decrements every time a new key is made, followed by 224 bits of random data agreed upon between the two communicating entities. The key ID starts at 1, and the max number starts at whatever the highest count of potential keys are. For instance, if I wanted to generate key 17 out of 32 total keys, key ID would be 17, and the max number would be 15. After the principal values are designated, they are individually hashed to create adjusted values, the adjusted string and adjusted number, which are crucial for the iterative process. With the adjusted values created, they are concatenated, stuck together end to end, and hashed, forming the first cryptographic key. In the future contact phase, the two entities create multiple future keys, beyond key 1. This modulation process is very simple and takes advantage of a hash's linearity. Basically, the adjusted values from a previous key are hashed to create new adjusted values. In essence, the previous adjusted values will take the place of where the principal values would be in the key configuration phase. After that, the rest of the process is the same as the key configuration phase. I've made many alterations to my protocol over time, improving and streamlining it each time. In the interest of time, I will not discuss the specific changes I've made, but I welcome your questions on Friday. So how secure are the ethereal keys the hash chaining creates? Well, for one, the parameter values integral for the generation of key values are obscured by multiple hashes. Since hashes are functionally irreversible, the parameter values are securely protected and thus maintain forward secrecy. Due to the modulation process of the future contact phase, new key values are constantly created, meaning that by the time any hacker discovers or brute forces the ethereal key, a new key is created. How long would it take to brute force an ethereal key? Well, let's see. An individual key consists of 256 alphanumeric characters. With some simple math and knowing the amount of time it takes for a computer to guess one value, it would take roughly 3 sesquicentillion years. 1 sesquicentillion is a 1 followed by 81 zeros. So 3 sesquicentillion years is 3 times 10 to the 81st power years. That number is bigger than the amount of observable particles in the known universe. The hope is that by the time the 3 sesquiquintillion years are up, a new can be made. Thank you. We'll also be going over my code.
Hello, this is the code for hash chaining version 3 that I'll be demonstrating today. This first part here, from here to here, is the first contact phase. This is where the two communicating entities establish secure communication using diffie-Hellman key exchange. Here's where you input the values P and G, and this is where you do the modular arithmetic. After that, it spits out a shared key, which they use to encrypt their session. After that is the key configuration phase, which is from here to here. It asks what the max number is, gives a value for the key ID, the header, and the principal number and principal string based on what the max number is. And spits out a key value. After that is the future contact phase, which takes this loop. Increments and decrements the key ID and max number, respectively, and forms these iterative keys with their own values and displays them. It would display what iteration of the key it is, what the key itself is, and some values here. So, for instance, here, let me just run this. Now let's put in some large prime numbers for P. I have them saved here. So 109, 471 for P. For G, 61, 561. These have to be large prime numbers, otherwise they won't work. Gives us our secret values, their shared values, and what their session key is. Now it's going to ask for the max number of iterations. This can be automated. For the max number of iterations, let's put 37. Good number. And this will return us our keys. Key number 1 in this session would be this. The key after that would be this, and so on and so forth down the line for 37 iterations.
Thank you. These are my references. I look forward to your questions on Friday. Thank you very much.